Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to discuss books and horror, and today I'm here to talk to you about everything that I read in the month of February.
It's coffee time!
So February was a month where I think I thought the month had like 50 days. And I made a TBR pile a little bit kind of impossible, but that is okay. From that TBR pile, I did manage to read 5 books, so I had to prioritize the books that had preference for me, and I'm going to talk to you today about those 5 books, what I thought of them. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. We like to rate books here with coffee mugs, and we start with the lowest rating to the highest, so we always end up on a positive note. Let's start talking about a YA book that I picked up. Really excited, a fantasy YA book about witches, but unfortunately it ended up not being the book for me, and that is The Witchery by S. Isabel. And I went into it really excited. I love the cover. I love that this is about different witches that are friends, and it's all in a school where people know, you know, that witchcraft exists and all of that. So I was kind of excited to dive into it, and I struggled from the very beginning because the book has multiple points of view, and at the very beginning the chapters were very short and we were jumping from character to character, and there was a total of 6 POVs, and I felt lost. I actually put the book down. When I had to go back to the book, I had to start from the very beginning because I had no idea what was going on. And I feel like you need to read at least like 100 pages, and I go like 60 pages at least, so that you really get into the flow of things. Otherwise you're going to be lost the next time you pick up the book. That kind of worked for me, that did the trick. And so in the middle of the book, that's when I was enjoying it the most. I was excited about the plot, about this curse that they were trying to break, but then eventually things went again kind of downhill, and I started to lose interest again on the characters and everything, and it just wasn't the book for me. I know some people love it. It was just not for me. The story is set in a magical school in a small town in Florida, and we have different witches that go there. We follow 4 of the girls that go to the girls' school and 2 of the boys that go to the boys' school. Basically, what our characters are trying to do throughout the whole book is discover the reason why there is a curse in this town, and if there is any way that they can maybe use their magic to break the curse. Probably my biggest issue was that the characters were lacking when it comes to character depth, and I also felt like the story needed a little bit more of, I don't know, something. There was something missing for me in the story as well. But I feel like mostly the characters not being fully developed for me, and all of these kind of love interests that felt just kind of awkward and forced just didn't do it for me. The one thing that I was really excited about was actually to learn more about the magic, you know, magic system, how things work. And I feel like even with that, we didn't really even get like a proper set of rules or how things work. I don't feel like it was properly explained. And sometimes they could use magic with a wand, sometimes they didn't need the wand, sometimes they needed to add blood apart from using the wand. And I feel like it was a little bit disjointed, and that kind of also pull me out of this whole world, and I feel like that's another reason why it kind of didn't work for me at all. So that's why sadly I had to end up giving this book a low rating, even though I wanted to love it so much. But you know, staying true to myself, I just did not have a good time with it, and it's a pity. It's a pity because I wanted to love this. I wanted to love the characters because they look so cool, but it just didn't happen. So, you know, I always say this is always my point of view. This is just my own, you know, subjective, personal opinion. It doesn't mean that other people are not gonna love it and fall in love with the characters and with the world. So if you love books about witches and you have this one on your radar, you still, you know, can give it a chance and see if you enjoy it. Maybe try the audiobook or an ebook if you're unsure. but I know that some people really did love this one. Next we have Double Date by Errol Stein. This is part of the Fear Street books, and I did a Valentine's vlog where I read the book because I felt it was quite appropriate for Valentine's Day. And this is on the line of all the Fear Street books. There are some funny moments, some scary moments, and it is the story of Bobby. He feels like he's the best and every woman wants him. He loves himself perhaps a little bit too much, and he's very cocky, obviously. So apart from always bragging from all of these girlfriends that he has, when a set of girl siblings move into Shadyside, he makes it kind of his mission to date both of them at the same time, and he brags about how he's gonna date them both without them knowing, and he does try that. But the twins might have darker secrets than he expected. And obviously the main character, Bobby, is a character you're gonna hate because of the way he is, but I feel like that was completely intentional and something that was needed for the story. So I just thought this book was a lot of fun. It was a quick read. If you have read other Fear Street books, you know kind of what to expect. There is always some sort of humor in them, and I always feel like the horror is kind of moderate. It's never like extreme. At least I haven't read one yet that was really extreme for me. So these ones are just a lot of fun. So this one I do recommend you guys, if you're interested, to pick something like this maybe for next Valentine. Now I am so happy to report, guys, that I finally read the first book in the Lockwood & Co. series. Here it is, by Jonathan Stroud, and this is The Screaming Staircase. I finally read it. It was recommended to me by people throughout the years because the people told me this has a similar vibe to Harry Potter, which I've always loved, but it's spooky, and I was like, yes please. So this is basically a world in which the dead started to come back to hunt the living. So we have a world full of ghosts, depending on the type of ghost. Some are more dangerous than others. I love that about the book as well, that we have different types of ghosts. And because the ghosts came back to hunt the living, basically society has decided to create some sort of schools to have kids being trained into agents that will then fight against the ghosts and try to, you know, make them move to the other side of the rainbow. So Lockwood & Co. is actually one of those agencies that was recently created, and they are struggling financially. So they're looking for any case that they can find, but especially big cases that give back a lot of cash because they're desperate for money. So they're going to take cases that are quite complicated and extremely dangerous because either they get enough money or the company is going down. So they will have to take absolutely anything. I loved all the characters in this book. I felt like they were really fleshed out. It was really easy for me to tell them apart. They all had their own personality. They were really well written, and I love all the stories and all the situations that the characters were put into. There were funny moments, there were scary moments, there was action-packed moments. So there is absolutely everything in this book. I love how, as a reader, I felt kind of a part of the crew. I felt kind of like I was investigating with them and trying to solve these mysteries with them. So I really loved it, and I'm definitely gonna be picking up book 2. And the last two books are two new releases that I wanted to read and review for you guys. So my reviews, my spoiler-free reviews of both of these books are already up on my channel if you want to check them out. They are just a little bit more in-depth reviews of what the book is about, but without spoilers or major spoilers. So the first one is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I really enjoyed this book. Now, more than a horror book, I would say it's a family drama with some horror elements to it, because there is a lot of focus on the family dynamics and how families process and deal with grief and loss of a loved one. The story centers around two siblings that lost both their parents in a car crash, and now they have to return to their home where they grew up, and they have to go through all of the memories and decide what they're going to do with the house. Are they going to sell it? Are they going to keep it? And what do they do with everything that's inside of the house? All of these things that you are being confronted with when you lose a parent. One of my favorite things about the book was to see how the brother and the sister, they both had different ways to approach a loss, to approach grief, and they both deal with it differently, and both options are completely valid because we all deal with grief and loss in different ways. And I love that the author knows this, you know, acknowledge this and puts it in the book, and we get to see the siblings kind of being forced to reconnect with each other after years of not really speaking to each other. And it just felt so real. I feel like the characters he created, these family dynamics, it felt really real. And then he added the kind of paranormal aspect into it because we have an empty house now where many things might have happened inside. There might be secrets laying around. So there is, you know, things that start to happen around the house that make the siblings believe that there might be something, you know, supernatural going on inside of it. And that is where the horror comes from. If you would like to give this one a chance and you are a horror fan like I am, you will have to wait at least until page 117, I think it was, for something actually to happen. For the most part, the introduction is more about the siblings and the grief and how they are dealing with the situation. So just keep pushing to get to the good bits. And last but definitely not least, we have The Drift by C.J. Tudor. I just uploaded my spoiler-free review on my channel this week as well, so you can go and check it out. In our story, basically, civilization has been struggling for the past 10 years. After a virus outbreak, humanity has been trying to control it, but quarantine and isolation has not really worked. And so humanity 10 years later is still kind of dealing with all the aftermath of this virus. We follow 3 different characters, so we have 3 different point of views. The author did such a good job at making the chapters in a way that it is so easy to tell the characters apart. It's really easy to follow all 3 different scenarios that we have here, and I really enjoyed reading through the 3 different characters' perspective. And when you would get to the end of a chapter, almost all of them end up with a cliffhanger, so you kind of quickly want to keep reading to go back to the scene and see how things are going to turn out. So when it comes to creating tension and anticipation, the author did a really good job. So all of our 3 characters that we follow, they are all either trapped somewhere or locked somewhere, isolated somewhere, they cannot call for help, and they are all stuck in the middle of a snowstorm without being able to get out of where they are or call for help. So it is a story about survival. Also, all 3 characters are trapped, locked, isolated with people they barely know, if they know them at all. And it also, you know, poses this danger of strangers and not knowing who these people are, if they're gonna help you, if they're gonna try to kill you. Because when you're in a situation where you are fighting for your life, you need to survive, people aren't always nice. And people also carry really dark secrets. Honestly, I had such a good time with this one. I just wanted to keep reading. I was really engaged with it. I was really excited about, you know, knowing about all 3 points of view. I was invested with all the 3 stories, which not always happens. You know, sometimes some point of views work more than others, but I felt like I was really excited to read of all 3 characters' perspectives, and I feel like this is going to be perfect for people that are looking for a winter mystery. It all happens in the middle of a snowstorm. There's, you know, this kind of like cold snow weather, so if you're looking for that, this is going to be perfect. And I really had a good time with it. It has some interesting twists and turns to the story, and I was quite satisfied also when we came to the ending. Alright guys, so these are the books that I managed to read in the month of February. Only 5 books, but I'm glad that I read these ones because those are the ones that have priority for me. I managed to read them all, and I had, you know, a really good time with most of them. The only one that wasn't really for me was The Witchery, but all other 4 I really enjoyed. So all in all, I can say it has been a good month for me. Let me know down below what you read in February. What was your favorite thing that you read in the month of February? And yeah, let's talk about it in the comments down below. Thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I hope to see you all as always in our next coffee time. Bye!